please sit down. Hello? Can I have everybody please sit down? We're going to start with the meeting in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Okay, people ready to go? Can I ask everyone's attention? Can I ask everyone to please stand? At this time, I'd like to welcome you to the special Budget and Finance Committee meeting of the Putnam County Legislature. Legislator Kevin Wright has introduced legislation that will start our meetings with a prayer, and this was passed by all. And so this will be one of our many meetings that we will start with a prayer. We gathered today to make decisions for our community. We seek blessing on the task before us. May we use our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us, and always act in accordance with what is best for our community and our fellow citizens. Amen. Amen. At this time, I'd like to recognize the color guard. At this time, I would like to have Carl Roney, Director of Veterans Affairs, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Carl. And while we stand, I would like to ask that you please remember all our veterans who proudly served our nation.
Thank you, and remember, when we say the pledge, it's one nation under God. There's no comma there. We've been harping on this for a few years now. I hope you remember, and I want to try and teach you one other little thing today before we go on. When the flag passes in review, everybody should have their hand over their heart or rendering a salute. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Hand or heart salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color guard dismissed.
At this time, I'd like to have Carl Roney please speak about Putnam County's Roll of Honor, which begins in late October. Yes. Everybody can be seated.
A little confusion about the color. We'll probably have them come and retire the colors right after I say a few words. So, yeah, okay. I thank you for allowing me to say the pledge. We're going to be talking about the Putnam County Row of Honor. We're going to start tonight. We have over in the other room registration to buy one of the flags. This is something that we've done for the last few years. It's to honor whoever you want on an American flag. It'll have your whatever name, whoever you want to dedicate it to on the flag permanently. We'll have them on display. We put them up each year. We increase. We have more and more flags. Just to let you know, the money that we raised the last time for the American flags are going for a Purple Heart monument that we're going to erect in our park, probably sometime around Memorial Day next year. We're also very proud that we're bringing the Vietnam Veterans Moving Wall for the third time into Putnam County. Some of that money has gone to help us secure that beautiful monument. So the money that we earn with the flags stays in Putnam County and helps Putnam County veterans and to both memorialize them and assist them wherever we may need. So it will be available. Flags are $100 a piece. Please stop by our table and buy a flag, or please pick up an application. The other thing we're going to just want to talk briefly about is this group, United for the Troops. We've been supporting them in Putnam County for the last about year and a half. This is a great organization. Jim Rasmussen founded it. It's a grassroots organization that's all over the United States now. Their information, but they started here in Putnam County. They just had a great fundraiser in down Paramount this past weekend. What they do for a $15 donation, great package is sent to troops all over the world. So copy down this email and help our veterans, because these are the guys that make sure we can do what we're doing here. It wasn't for the guys who serve our country. Thank you for allowing me to have a few minutes, and have a great budget meeting.
Okay, at this time we'll have roll call.
Number 1, District 2,
Present.
District 3,
Present.
District 4, Present. District 6,
Present.
District 7,
Present.
District 8, Present. District 9, District 5, He's present.
I'm here. If anybody's wondering, thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce Assistant County Executive Bruce Walker.
Thank you, Legislator Albano, Chairman. At this time, I'd like to recognize a number of individuals that we have in the audience tonight, a number of elected officials and others that are running for office or involved very significantly with the running of the government of the county. First, I'd like to introduce Senate candidate, or Senator Gibson, and he's represented by Brian Kelly. Next, Assemblyman Katz, Dr. Katz. Supervisor Bob Tendy, Putnam Valley. And then a couple of judges, Judge LaBelle. Sitting next to him, Judge Reitz. And on the other side of him, Judge O'Rourke. And we have our coroner, Mike Neschlat. Bob Cullen from Southeast. Judy Maxwell, the chair of the Conservative Party. Anthony Stampiego, I've spent most of my life with, who's the chair of the Republican Party. And the former chair sitting next to him, Jim DeBella. And we have a number of former legislators or others, and so I'd like to recognize former county executive Paul Eldridge. Former legislator Dan Birmingham. Former legislator Rita Tamania. And my legislator growing up, former legislator Regina Marini. Representing our district attorney, Adam Levy, we have Hannah Cross. And representing our great sheriff, we have Pete Convey, young sheriff. Then we have a number of people running for office, and it's very important that we get all these names out there, regardless of what affiliation they are, because we believe so much in the democratic process. So, a gentleman who I had a great pleasure of working with his father for a number of years, running for the Senate, Terrence Murphy. And for the Senate as well, Sue Savino. And then for our legislative districts, Tony Andanazio, Bill Gould, and then for our clerk position, county clerk, we've got Mike Bartolotti, Lithgow Osborne, and then for Patterson Town Council, Sean Rogan. If I missed anybody, you can blame me. So, none of this can get done without the leadership team that the county executive has put together over the last 3 years. And so we wanted to recognize those individuals who really contribute on a day-to-day basis and lead this organization with the charges that, and we tell you they're tough sometimes, that our county executive gives us. So I'm going to walk through and I'd like to recognize each one of them. So when I say your name, please stand up. So with our auditing department, we have Michelle Sharkey. You can stand up over there. Board of Elections, we have Anthony Scampieko and Catherine Croft. With the Bureau of Emergency Services, our Commissioner Adam Seawood. Consumer Affairs, Jean Marie Noel. County Clerk's Office, Devin Sam. The Department of Social Services, my alter ego as I call him, Commissioner Mike Piazza. I could do this job without help from him. Thank you, Mike, for that. That's my worst nightmare, taking that job. The District Attorney's Office, Adam Levy, and Sean, I know you're recognizing him. The Finance Department, Commissioner Bill Carlin. And you can thank him for a lot of work done tonight, him and his deputy, Jerry McConnell, who's up top there. We have the Health Department, Dr. Alan Beals, Commissioner. Our Commissioner of Highway and Facilities, who gets to deal with an awful lot, Fred Penman. Our Historian's Office, I'm very proud to announce, after the unfortunate passing of a very dear friend of mine, Dennis Costelli, that we are appointing a new historian, Sarah Johnson. The Department of Law, who spends a lot of time with me, Jennifer Baumgartner, County Attorney. The Office of Legislation, Diane Schoenfeld, Clerk. Office for Senior Resources, my Director, Pat Sheehy. Office of IT and GIS, that's Director Tom Lannon, who's up top running the program as we speak. Got the Office of the Coroner, Mike Eschrod, who I announced earlier as elected official. Personnel Department, who happens to be my former county executive, Director Paul Eldridge. My Acting Commissioner for Planning, John Tully. Probation Department, Director Gene Funicelli. Director for my Purchasing Department is Alex Mazzata. Director for Real Property, Lisa Johnson. And the person who spends even more time with me. My Risk Manager, Adrian Spancini. The Sheriff's Office, represented by Under Sheriff Peter Convery. And Veteran Services, as Carl was up here earlier, and appreciate all the hard work he's done. Thank you, Carl. And then we have our office, which is obviously led by the County Executive, MaryEllen Odell, myself. And none of this would ever get done. Really. If we didn't have a chief of staff like Patricia Simone, and our confidential secretary, Terry Oliver, you could only imagine what keeping Mary Ellen and I in line is like. And then, of course, we have Nicholas DeBerno, who deals with everything we don't want to. At this time, it's my distinct pleasure and honor to introduce our county executive and a very dear friend of mine, County Executive MaryEllen Odell.
Hope you'll do the same when this is over. Am I mic'd up? We're good? Okay. Jimmy and Tom, thank you. And Kristen, thank you very much. My Deputy County Executive, thank you. It's a real privilege and honor to work alongside a man of such brilliance and integrity. And I'm so blessed, and we're all so blessed. And I know the team knows it, because even though he drives a hard bargain at times, he's always fair. And that's what our administration is all about. Really, it's about being fair. It's about being socially responsible. It's about being fiscally responsible. It's about delivering services that our constituents are not only entitled to, but that they deserve. And they deserve that because they are residents who put their trust in this county government, and notwithstanding the fact that they do pay their taxes. I want to tell you tonight that we've always talked a lot about vision in our administration in the last 3 years, what our vision was. And a vision is really a plan. And tonight is a culmination of the last 3 years of our vision and how we have executed that vision through a plan. And we thought it was appropriate that we begin this evening with this proverb: where there is no vision, the people perish. And we'll move on now to the real nuts and bolts of tonight. Our vision is to provide a transparent, effective, and honest local government dedicated to meeting the needs of its citizens. And our focus for this particular year's budget is to develop a fiscally responsible budget that provides for the health, safety, and quality of life that our residents deserve and are entitled to and required, and not exceed that tax cap. And before we go through the numbers, I want to just say something. On the third floor in my office, we're very fond of a saying: everyone is allowed and entitled to their own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts. This budget, this presentation tonight is all factual. Every single number up there will be and can be verified and identified. We delivered a budget to the county legislature in a format both digitally and both in a binder.
I turned it off. It doesn't.
I watched you turn it off. Now I'm really going to watch you turn it off. But again, I just want to emphasize, this presentation tonight, there's no fluff, there's no nonsense. It's all facts. They're all verifiable. Numbers don't lie. Numbers do not lie. So here we go. The 2015 budget is a $145.4 million budget. That there is a net increase of $2.5 million over the 2014 adopted budget, or a 1.75% increase. That keeps us within the tax cap. And what we've done this year is we have taken from our general fund surplus 2.85, which we'll show you later on, but we'll mention now. This is our third straight budget using less surplus than the previous year. What it means, thank you, took the SIM card out. What this means to the taxpayer, and I think that the average taxpayer sitting at home, this is really what they want to see. So the average homeowner whose assessed home is $261,000 will pay $989 in Putnam County taxes. That's for the services that they receive for highways, Medicaid, social services, community colleges, and you'll see all of that later on. That represents a $13 increase over last year. Now this is something interesting, and we're all sort of waiting to see what this really means, but we thought it was important that we would note this. As per the New York State Property Tax Freeze credit legislation, eligible Putnam County homeowners will be entitled to a refund in the fall of 2015. What does that mean? It means because we hit the cap, that we're going to be part of this, whatever it is. We're not sure, but we'll wait, we'll see. And here's the breakdown of our revenue for the 2015 budget. Our sales tax collection, we are estimating a confident $54.7 million. Our property tax revenue will be 40.6. Our department revenue, which is driven by the great work of many of those individuals who we acknowledged tonight, will be 17.3. And again, I mentioned we're using less this year out of our general surplus fund of 2.85. Now the pie chart sometimes is a little bit easier to identify what those numbers really mean. What it really means is that the Washington and Albany mandates, which equal $103 million in expenses, but they only reimbursed Putnam County 28.8, is only 20% of our total revenue. And here are our expenses for the 2015 budget, our operating expenses. Again, we'll note, state and federal mandated programs will cost us $103.3 million. And what does that leave us out of our 145.4? It leaves us $42 million. And with $42 million, we want to keep our citizens safe. We want to still maintain the reputation of being the safest county in New York State. So our road patrols, our sheriffs, our deputies, and all the support staff that goes along with that is $6.7 million. Our parks and recreation, something we're very proud of here in Putnam County, our tourist destinations, our place of pride, our Veterans Park, $3.5 million. Our emergency services, certainly we all know now with ISIS and the world and the national security being on the front page every single day, we have to be ready. We fund $4.2 million. The Office for Senior Resources, formerly known as the Office for the Aging, $5.9 million. And our outside agencies, $1.5 million. And we'll speak in a little bit of stronger detail in a little while. Our fiscal strength and integrity, and our use of surplus funds to balance the county budget. The surplus funds are county taxpayer dollars. And you have to keep a certain amount of money in that bank. We all know that, right? We all know how we have to do that in our own home budgets or our own business budgets. So we really try, you really always try not to go into that fund unless you really, really have to. And we thought that this graph would be something interesting for everyone to know. From 2011 till 2015, you will see the decline in what we've taken out of our general surplus fund. Now, in our administration for the last 3 years, we can tell you that we have stopped relying on our general fund surplus to balance the budget, and at that, we have substantially reduced by 40%. And again, responsible management of debt. When you talk about bonding, why does government bond? Why do private corporations bond? Well, they bond typically when it's smarter, when it's fiscally smarter to do. When you can borrow money at very low interest rates, you take advantage of that instead of taking money out of your savings account. And I want to note something that's very important here. In 2012, when the administration took office, our long-term debt service was $6,088,994. In 2015, we're less. It's a little bit less. But really what that tells you is that we're holding the line. And yes, we have renovated facilities and we have an aging infrastructure that we've had to put capital dollars into. And yes, we did have to purchase 4 snowplows last year, and thank God we did with the polar vortex the way it was. But you can see here that we have held that line with bonding. And why is that important to do? Because Moody's credit rating is the report card for counties. They're the ones who are going to tell you if you're doing a good job or not. They're an independent operation. And while the counties around us had their bond rating downgraded, Putnam County remains solid. And we have been, as I noted, in our last 3 years in this administration. And we will continue to have a strong bond rating. And that will enable us to continue to borrow money at a lower interest rate. And what is our report card grade? It's a AA2. And we're very proud of that. So everything that we need to do every day as a county government and deliver services, which is our major responsibility, both on the social and fiscal level, We have to manage 71% of our budget for the unfunded mandate programs. Now, tonight, Deputy County Executive Bruce Walker introduced some of our state legislators, some who are vying for the state legislative opportunity to serve the people. And I just want to say again, 71% of our budget goes towards programs that we have absolutely no control over. We have no oversight and we have no accountability. And we can't continue in this direction. So the New York State and federal government mandate, they mandate us more than 200 programs. And the total cost to county taxpayers, again, is 103.3. That 103.3 consumes our entire property tax levy. And it also consumes the vast majority of Putnam County sales tax dollars. There really is no surplus sales tax dollars as long as those mandate numbers are where they are. And in fact, 71% of the 2015 budget goes to support those mandate programs. So for everyone who's listening here and outside of tonight, we have got to get Albany to stop with these mandated programs and allow some of us to have more hands-on and more accountability and oversight. These are just some of the mandated programs that we are responsible for. And I've highlighted a few. We've talked about Medicaid. We've talked about Medicaid numbers in this county before. We have 6,000 Medicaid eligible residents in our county. And the county local share contribution is almost $10 million. And if you look and you add the state and the federal piece to it, it's almost $100 million to service 6,000 residents. It just doesn't make sense. It's illogical. There's something inherently wrong there. And I want to note the other two items here on the mandates. You'll see community colleges. For those of you who have attended community colleges or have children attending community college, I want you to know something. The county picks up that bill in a partnership with your local municipalities. The local municipalities in our county are actually responsible to be paying that $3.1 million. But county government, we don't mind doing that because we can, because we manage it, and it's a partnership. Because whether you live in Carmel, or you live in Brewster, you live in Cold Spring, your taxes are all going to the same place. And so the county contributes the entire bill to $3.1 million for community college education. And the Board of Elections is another mandate that county government assumes responsibility for, that also our local municipalities used to pay. So we're engaging in partnerships and we're trying to help everyone out. And I wish that Albany would do the same and take a look and help us with those mandates. And our mandated costs continue to rise, and we thought that this particular graph would help us understand how exponentially they're rising. If you look at the 2013 adopted budget and the mandates that we were trying to manage, and you look at the 14, you'll see a $1.5 million increase. And then you'll see this year what we've had to do before we even managed our own expenses. And for the 2015 tentative budget, you'll see that we had an increase of $500,000 in the expenses for these unfunded mandated programs. Now when you talk about expenses, what's left after we pay New York State? These are quality of life services. These are the services that we live in Putnam County for. These are the services that we understand represent who we are as a people. And so we understand also that the not-for-profits, these agencies have been struggling, and it's been hard for us to not give them additional funding. But this year, we've decided that within the 2015 budget, the outside agencies will receive an across-the-board 2% increase this year. And I know it's not a lot, but it's what we can do. And you know what it really says? It says thank you. It says we appreciate what you do, and so do our constituents. And with the exception of our libraries, who we have continued to fund, even in this economic downturn, we are going to increase the contribution to 3% to our libraries. And I'd like to acknowledge each and every one of our not-for-profits for what you do for our community, what you do for the quality of life, and what you do for the taxpayers, and how your volunteers keep our taxes low. And so we thought that this would be a token of our appreciation. So I'd like to thank everybody. Responsibility. Responsibility is a very interesting word. It's something that parents use all the time. It's something that we were raised and lectured on. And if you take the word responsibility and you break it apart, it's your ability to respond, and your response is ability. And as I said earlier, our administration focuses on social responsibility and fiscal responsibility. That's basically how we view every single challenge or every opportunity, if you will, in our administration. And so moving forward in this budget process, we decided when we looked at what was really driving our budget, where were the costs coming from? We noted something that every single one of you have noted because it's been on the front pages of our local newspapers for too long now, and that's our war on addiction. Putnam County, what we're going to build tonight is one army on that war on addiction. And how we're going to do it? Each and every one of you tonight are sitting on a chair where you received a lanyard with a card. On that lanyard is what I would refer to as the coalition. This is the new army. This is all of the entities together who've been fighting and struggling and talking and yelling and crying about what's been going on in our county, in our state, and in our country when it comes to addiction. Can you put that back up, please? So tonight I want to introduce our new campaign that's focusing on education and awareness. And that's all in partnership with our law enforcement to combat the addiction epidemic. And when we talk about addiction, we're not just talking about heroin and opiates. We're talking about alcohol. We're talking about marijuana. We're talking about pharmaceutical. We're talking about it all. Because that's the only way we're going to get our arms wrapped around this. So here's the coalition this evening. Thank you, Jim. Here's the coalition, Putnam County Cares, the app that Putnam County is so proud of. That's a resource tool. The Putnam County CTC, the Putnam County Coalition, the National Council on Alcoholism, our District Attorney's Office, the Stop DWI program, the Sheriff's Office, of course my colleagues on the legislature, and our partners in the private sector. Drug crisis in our backyard, and our logo. And our logo tonight, which is on the lanyards, which Nora Slavinsky, who's our Stop DWI coordinator, came up with. We wanted something positive, and she was absolutely right. Together, our good decisions and our good choices equal a good life. Thank you, Nora, for that. So one army in this county on the war on addiction. And here's some stats, and they're staggering, and they're heartbreaking. In the United States, the cost due to society to substance abuse and addiction, illegal drugs cost us $181 billion a year. Alcohol addiction costs us $185 billion a year. And it's estimated that 25% of each Medicare dollar and 20% of each Medicaid dollar are spent on addiction-related illnesses and conditions. And so in Putnam County, for our law enforcement, the Narcotics Enforcement Unit budget in the 2014 budget contains $1.6 million. And why? Because heroin arrests since 2012 have increased 300%. And 40% of our inmate population at the Putnam County Correctional Facility were arrested by the Narcotics Enforcement Unit. In 2013, 42% of the NEU arrests were heroin or opiate related. In 2014 to date, and it's October 1st, 47% are heroin or opiate related. So you can see the trending. When you look at the social side of what addiction does, you've seen the numbers, now look at the social side. In our county, 13 of the 21 children currently in foster care are there as a result of their parents' alcohol and substance abuse. And 4 of those children, sadly, had their own substance abuse issues. 28 of our families have received preventative foster care services directly related to alcohol or substance abuse. We have a fiscal responsibility to our constituents. In 2012, the total cost of Medicaid expenditures for Putnam County Medicaid eligible residents, as I noted earlier, was almost $100 million, specifically $95 million. Almost $5.5 million was spent on mental health treatment, and that was treatment for 736 residents. Just look at that, fortunately. About $1.2 million was spent on chemical dependency issues for 237 residents. Look at the dollars. And this does not include those who may have developed medical problems or have been injured as a result of alcohol and substance abuse. You couldn't track those numbers, but we know that they're there and we know that they're real. So again, these numbers don't reflect the social and emotional impact to the families and friends of those suffering from addiction. Physical illness, devastating loss of a family member or friend, happens to suicide for accidental overdose, or the long-term health effects due to alcohol and or substance abuse. And in Putnam County, the Sheriff's Department, 152 arrests for DWI or AI in 2013, and 101 to date. Again, it's October 1st for 14. And every time there's arrest, there's a minimum of 4 hours spent with that individual. And at 152 arrests for the year 2013, it equaled 608 man-hours lost for $35,000. But more importantly, that's 608 hours that were lost providing neighborhood security or responding to fire and EMS calls. And so how do we do this? Well, we attack it on both fronts. We take a good military approach on this, and we're going to come in on both ends. In addition to our law enforcement, early education and awareness is part of this campaign, and we're bringing it to our schools with the Sydney program, which shows the risk of drugs and alcohol while driving, and the 2 Good for Drug classes that are given by prevention educators through Putnam County funds. Both of these programs are being facilitated through the Putnam County Youth Bureau, and I'd like to recognize Joe DeMarzo and his team. We're going to continue our private-public partnerships on this war because we're all in. Everybody has to be in on this. The Stop DWI program, we budgeted $165,000 in the 2015 budget. And I've also tasked the coordinator, Norris Levinsky, and our director of probation. I'm asking them to establish a board of directors. I want them to take all of the stakeholders and the individuals who care and put them at the table and let them make the decisions that really impact this program and this initiative. We're also engaging in a drug crisis in our backyard in our coalition, and that's remembering Justin Salamone and Eric Christensen. And this foundation was created by Susan and Steve Salamone and Lou and Carol Christensen, and we're fortunate again tonight to have the Salamones here, and I'd like to thank them very much for their partnership. And thank them. As a parent, I want to thank them for doing what they're doing for all of our children. About a month or so ago, Senator Chuck Schumer came up to Putnam County and he described to us a high-intensity drug trafficking area designation. And I have to be honest with you, at the time I thought I was a little uncomfortable with having Putnam County designated that, but I knew that it was important to do if we were going to really face this head-on and get the appropriate funding. And on Tuesday, the Journal News called me for a quote because we have now been, sadly, I say, designated as a high-intensity drug trafficking area. And when the reporter asked me what my feelings were on the program, the very first thing that came to my mind, having lived here my entire life and raising 2 kids, it was heartbreaking for us to have this designation because we're a very proud county. And I know that not a lot of us want to recognize that this is here, but it is here. And we have to be realistic, and we have to get our heads out from under the covers and realize that it's happening. One army on the drug and addiction. So the Honorable James Reeds, he's been in front of this. He's been fighting for this. When drug treatment court was going away because of the state funding, zeroing out that budget line, we picked it up. Jim Reeds was right there to continue the fight. And today the stats are 87 active participants are in the drug treatment court, 34 DWI cases, 41 are opioid dependent, which means pills or heroin, and 12 others are additional drugs. 14 additional individuals are in various stages of becoming participants. The pipeline is full. Sad to say it's full, but we're so very grateful for drug treatment court. I've attended every single drug treatment graduation as county executive, and I can tell you, it is one very inspiring moment to see people honestly embrace their troubles and be willing to share their experiences just to help somebody else next to them. Thank you, Judge Reeves. So, we mentioned the early awareness, the education, the coalition, the not-for-profits, but we can't do this without supporting our law enforcement. And certainly, our sheriff's office has done a terrific job. We know that because we are proud, again, to say we are still considered the safest county in New York State, and that's due to the men and women in the sheriff's office and their leadership. And so in the 2015 budget, we made a decision to add 2 Putnam County Sheriff Deputy positions and 1 new Putnam County Sheriff's Investigator position. We think it's very, very important to do that. And why are we adding those positions? Because the stats, and again, the numbers don't lie. The western part of the county is suffering. The numbers are rising on level 2 crimes. And so we're going to maintain a stronger county presence on the western side of the county. And the volume of events have grown on the western part of the county to an average of 15,000 annually, or more than 40 events a day. And the complexity of these events has increased, and it jeopardizes the safety of the public due to delayed response. And I would argue that it also jeopardizes the safety of our first responders, both our career and volunteer. And I think if we're wondering why it's happening, you just look at the corridor. You look at that corridor from Peekskill to Poughkeepsie. You just look at that traffic lane right there. And so, again, our campaign tonight, together, our good decisions and our good choices equal a good life. And this is one army on the war on addiction. So 2014 was designated by the legislature and the administration the year of the senior. I'm going to tell you a little funny story. Before I came in here, my cell phone rang, and it was a missed call, and it was my grandmother May, who's 100 years old. And she said, listen, I hear you have a small important meeting tonight. I said, yeah, Grandma, it's kind of important. She said, well, kid. And I just thought, you know, it's so good to be 54 and still be called kid by somebody. She said, I just want to wish you the very, very best, and I want you to know how proud we are of you. And I thought, you know, that's a grandmother, and that's what this county is all about, is that sharing and that support between a grandmother's love and a mother's love to their children. And that's why 2014, the year of the senior, has been such a success. And when we look at our seniors and we look at our social and our fiscal responsibilities, we look at the fact that the numbers of seniors in Putnam County is increasing, and transportation is very important to them. Is it no coincidence I'm standing next to you, Marie? Transportation is vital, and we've got to keep our seniors healthy. And many of our families are struggling to balance work and still provide their care to their loved ones. So Putnam County's here. Our director for the Office for Senior Resources, Pat Sheehy, and her team, every day making sure that our seniors are healthy and that they're getting to where they need to be. And so what we do is county government, our fiscal responsibility. We're funding $100,000 for new buses for transportation. We're taking the incredible donation from the Jane Lobdell Fund. We're taking $139,000 for transportation. We're enhancing the nutrition program. We've had great success with offering some more creative and healthy choices in our menus. And we're increasing the recreation and educational opportunities. And then there's the BIP program from the state of New York. They're funding us $233,000 to centralize information for our seniors. And our nutrition costs, we're funding an additional $75,000. I want to thank everyone who helped participate and make 2014 the year of the senior success. And I'm looking forward to the October Halloween Jamboree and the Christmas parties as well. And make sure that we invite all of our seniors. By the way, that's 60 and over. So if you're 60 and over, you're in the club now. So Putnam County has the fastest growing population of seniors in New York State. And with our dedicated senior center nutrition sites, Meals on Wheels, and transportation programs, we're positioned to continue to provide the best for our seniors. Look at the numbers in 2013. We served 75,000 Meals on Wheels for our homebound seniors. And we made 150,000 transports for vital medical services and recreation and social events. We care. And of course, Putnam County, a patriotic county, a county who has the deepest of gratitude to our veterans and their families. We recognize their social challenges. We understand the post-traumatic stress disorders and the impact it has on their families. We look at the medical conditions as a result of service. I'll example Agent Orange as one of them. We'll look at the veteran outreach. You've seen what Washington was unable to do when it was unable to keep up with the claims, to process the claims for our veterans and their benefits. We want to work with the families and make sure they're getting all the support that they need. And we want to make sure that our veterans have equal opportunity for employment in this county. And our fiscal response to that is we're going to ask the legislature to agree with us that we should increase our Veterans Affairs Director to a full-time position. We're also increasing the responsibilities of our Deputy Director. And we're also engaging a stronger effort in our peer-to-peer program, the SNAP grant, and the Veterans Transportation Program, which I want to tell you, the Veterans Transportation Program. If there was ever a truth to the saying, build it and they will come, it's in the Veterans Transportation Program. There is such a demand, such a high demand for the veterans to get to Castle Point and Montrose and to their local medical and service appointments, and we're there for them. The veterans' residence is 100% occupancy. And the Putnam County Veterans Service Agency Director and Deputy Director, on their own, by the way, I should mention, on their own initiative, are currently taking training that will allow them to become certified Veterans Administration Officers. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that currently, and in the last few years, we've had a certified Veterans Affairs Officer here in Putnam County for only 2 days. And he's struggling tremendously to keep up with the demands of processing the requests and claims. So what does that mean? That means our veterans and their families have to wait. But we're not going to do that. We're not going to wait for Washington to take care of what we need to do for our veterans. We're going to do it ourselves. And so with Carl Brody and Art Hanley now becoming certified veteran administration officers, we're going to now increase serving our underserved veterans so that they may access the services that they are not only entitled to, but they deserve. So budget drivers. We talk about why is the budget rising, why is it increasing? And here's what's driving our budget this year. In the 2015 budget, we booked $979,000, and that was budgeted to meet the salary increases for the PBA, the Sheriff's Union, and the Civil Service Union, who have been working in this county without a contract since 2011. We have the Pixies, the corrections officers, and the Puma negotiations are pending, but we have settled those contracts, and we all understand that no one should be working without a contract. And we're very proud of the fact that we were able to settle with a very respectable contract for both entities. We budgeted $551,000 to increase our mandated pension costs. And we budgeted $395,000 to meet the increased health insurance premium costs. And to make the fight on addiction, the One Army on the War on Addiction, successful, $348,000 was budgeted for new positions. And most of it was funded for the War on Addiction, but we did have some funding positions for the Office for Senior Resources in the budget as well. So taking a page out of my very first State of the County address that we coined Managing Our Assets and Optimizing Our Resources, we thought we'd describe how are we offsetting all of those expenses. Well, we're continuing our war on Medicaid fraud. You know that we've been able to capture a lot of savings on cost avoidance. And we're continuing our war on workers' compensation fraud. Last year's claims of 62, this year down to 13, shows that we're making some success with that. We are increasing our focus on grant opportunities, and we are optimizing our county workforce to reduce the use of outside contractors. This building is a fine example of one of them. And in the slides In the further slides, we're going to talk about the next items. The RSVP program, the expansion of the use of alternatives to incarceration, our pilot program that we're very, very proud of, and the increased use of video conferencing technology. We'll talk about our retired senior volunteer program and what that means for us here as taxpayers. God bless every one of them. 530 volunteers donate almost 80,000 hours of their time to this county. And they perform 86 different job functions. And how does that equate in dollars and cents? Almost $1.8 million. And I'd like to thank each and every one of our seniors. The alternatives to incarceration. Deputy County Executive and I, when we came up on the third floor, were looking at all the different programs and opportunities. And this one was something that we just knew we were going to get a lot of traction out of. The Alternatives to Incarceration program offers a lot of benefits to the county in both social and fiscal opportunities. We avoid the cost of incarceration. That's for starters. And there's a lot of dollar value to that. But they also provide 36,000 annual community work hours back to Putnam County. There's a lot of dollar values to that as well. Not having them have to serve their time in our correctional facility, we also avoid medical services. And we also avoid the cost and risk of housing the county prisoners. And it also allows us the opportunity for boarding revenue, which is very important to balance our budget. Putnam Invests in Leaders of Tomorrow, the pilot program. This is the administration's pride and joy. We're going to expand the program to year-round, and I'm going to tell you why, after having 2 very successful years of the pilot program. I am the mother of 2 millennials, 25 and 22-year-old, and I can tell you they were born with that chip. They can pick up any smartphone, any computer, any piece of technology and not even have to look for an instruction booklet. I don't even think they know what an instruction booklet is. They just have it. These kids that we've hired, they were the best and the brightest, and they were tech smart, and they were innovative. And actually, we have intern 001 right here with us right now, Frank Smith, who just successfully graduated with honors from Syracuse University and is attending Pace Law School, I believe on a full scholarship, not to really make him. Frank Smith was born in Putnam County. Frank Smith is going to die in Putnam County, right? I was actually going to predict that Frank Smith is going to be county executive one day. I'm going to go that far. Big shoes. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Okay, so I want to example why we're so excited and why this is such a wonderful program. Last summer, as an example, we put a couple of interns over in the transportation division of the planning department. And one pilot intern project focused on completing a mandated Federal Transit Administration review, an FTA review. Very extensive. If we had contracted out with our previous vendor, they would have billed us $109,000, but instead we used 5 interns. And at their hourly rate, it cost us $14,000. That saved us $95,000 and gave those kids an opportunity and an experience of a lifetime. And that's the succession plan. And that's one of the most amazing, amazing examples of the pilot program. And so we've determined that we want to put this program in as a year-round opportunity. Many of our children, students, they commute. So they're here, they're home. Or maybe they have an extended winter break and they're here and they're home. And we need them. We need them. And so we're going to ask in our budget this year to expand the pilot program. Again, taking a page out of our 2012 State of the County, managing our assets and optimizing our resources. Inmate court appearance. Video conferencing system was used for the very first time in 2014. Joe Tuck is here with us. He's one of our attorneys in Putnam County. He was a believer in the program, and Joe, I want to thank you very much. Please stand and take credit for doing that. So in the 2013 budget, we budgeted $254,000 for prisoner transport. This year, we're confident with the support like individuals like Joe Talk, we're going to budget $238,000. Now this system is already installed in 3 of our town courts, Carmel, Southeast, and Patterson. We're hopeful, we're reviewing plans for the other towns. It's going to work, it's going to happen. It was a long time coming, but it's definitely a lesson in government. Just hang in there, don't give up, keep going. We're going to get there, and we're going to be a shining example for all the counties around on why this program is not only good for the taxpayer as far as from a fiscal point of view, but it's good for the taxpayer from a safety point of view. And we have the blessings of our administrative judge, Alan Shankman, of course, Judge Reeves, who's been right along with us, our sheriff, Donald B. Smith, District Attorney Adam Levy, but I gotta give Hannah Kraus a whole big round of applause for Hannah. Hannah really put this right down the goal line for us, and Hannah, I want to thank you so much for that. The Legal Aid Society, the Putnam County Bar Association, again, Joe Top, and the towns of Carmel and Patterson. We're going to save money, and we're going to increase transportation and safety opportunities in Putnam County. Private-public partnerships. Private-public partnerships have been talked about in Europe for a long time. It was an idea that I truly engaged when we came up on the 3rd floor. A lot of success has happened as a result of engaging in this 3P partnership, if you will. We believe in economic growth and development in this county. We believe that Main Street drives our economy. We also believe that Megan Taylor is doing a terrific job with her board and the Economic Development Corporation. But we also know that the IDA needs some help. But we're not responsible in county government to fund this operation, but I know that it's very important that we do. And so in this 2015 budget, we're asking the county legislature to agree with us and to fund the Putnam County IDA some startup money of $75,000 so that we can build on our objective of driving economic development. And we can help continue to revitalize the Economic Development Corporation. Another private-public partnership that we're enjoying is our Tilly Foster Farm and the Westchester Putnam Bossies. We will be engaging in 2015 in a culinary arts program as well as an equine program. And I want to invite everyone out to Pumpkin Palooza on October 25th and come and meet Penelope and Ginger, our Cooney pigs. If you haven't seen that, they're just way too cute. I think we're going to start like some craze. Everyone will be buying these little pigs up. Westchester Putnam Bossies is also engaged in us in a private-public partnership with our Commissioner of Highways with an internship program. We captured a lot of hours, saving the taxpayer dollars, and again, giving our youth opportunities to learn skills and trades that they can use moving forward. And again, Paladin Center has always been there for us. They're there for us for the storms, they're there for us for emergency training, and as long as they're there, they're helping to bring in revenue to our local businesses. Private-public partnerships continue with the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce. Now, many of you, when you were coming in tonight, I don't know if you were able to see our buses, now that's not a new bus, that's our old buses, but they've been rewrapped and redesigned. I think now people will understand that we have a transit system. I really truly believe that people thought we were just transporting prisoners around county because those buses in no way were indicative of the transportation system. So I'd like to thank Rev Design and the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce for partnering with us here in Putnam County and rebranding our transit system into Putnam Moves. I'd like to thank them. And what else we've done in the Putnam County Partnership Initiative is I spoke with the chambers early on about handling our advertising. I've always believed that our buses were a terrific opportunity for revenue, for advertising, helping our small businesses on Main Street and helping offset the cost of this transportation system. So I went to a fabulous, wonderful go-getter named Jen Marr, who's with the Putnam County Chamber of Commerce, and her partner, Bill Knoll, and I said, would you guys like to handle our advertising campaign? And they were so excited. They engaged a local design company called Rev Design, and they have a business plan put together for advertising. And already, if you check out any of those buses out there today, on each and every bus, there's a $50,000 opportunity for revenue for each and every one of our buses. and we have 10 buses in our fleet. And that's not including the shelters that are around, the bus shelters, that will also be opportunities for advertising. The bus outside, you'll see that Park Ford has already decided, he already bought a prime spot on the back end. You'll see on the wrapping, we've noted our historic courthouse, the Brewster Village train station, a transportation hub, the logo design contest winner, and a vista of Cold Spring. That's Putnam County Moves. That's our advertising campaign. If you do the math, we could very well realize $500,000 in revenue next year and promote our businesses at the same time. So thank you to the Chamber of Commerce. And continuing what we believe is a successful project, we're hopeful, is the Butterfield project. And the successful creation of Butterfield will transform an existing deficient piece of property and will also create 70 permanent jobs. That helps our families. It will create 80 to 100 construction jobs. That gets our union families back to work. It gets our private contractors back to work. It also is an increase in the property tax base for the residents in Phillipstown, Cold Spring, and the Haldane Central School District, and Putnam County. And that reduces the tax burden of the taxpayers. Approximately $597,000 gross. Conservatively, $431 is net of anticipated revenue. Increased opportunities to generate additional sales tax, which will ultimately enable Putnam County to reduce or hold future property tax levies. Here we are, the Putnam County Golf Course. If anyone attended any of the barbecues over the summer, any of the concerts, you have to know, we are the hottest entertainment destination right now, if not in Putnam County, but in the Hudson Valley area. The success of this golf course has been amazing. We're going to look at the golf rounds, the increase in the golf rounds. It was a wet spring, but our summer kind of pulled it out. We're hoping for a beautiful extended fall. We look at the tournaments that are now being booked in this destination. Last year, 22, this year, 30. Look at the events, the increase in the catering events. Last year, 119. This year, to date, 210, almost a double down. But here's what I find most intriguing. We had one wedding in 2013. We have 8 weddings booked for this destination. That is a signature destination when you have weddings. Do you know how much money is spent when there's a wedding, Grace, from Sacred Heart Catholic Goods Stores? You know. When there are weddings being held in the area, money is being spent all around. That is a great indicator right there. So just a little public service announcement there if you're interested in booking an event, 808-1880. As for Mike McCall or Al from Homestyle, I think they're here. Is our team here, Applied Golf, Mike McCall, Al from Homestyle. It's all because of that. And that truly is an example of a private-public partnership. So here's a recap. Here's our budget recap. This is our third budget. Facing all the challenges that we've faced. And last year alone, we had the polar vortex. What an incredible expense that was. We're facing salt. Next year will be about $20 a ton more. Correct, Fred? Freddie, 20, I know I was talking to the Commissioner of Highways, Patterson. Russ Goff is telling me he's facing already, what were you saying, Russ, 37% in salt increases? We did it last winter. We also had that major explosion of water in the county courthouse. Poor Judge Lou Bell is on her. Soaking wet. Are you dry yet, Lou? $250,000, I believe, in an unexpected expense, just like that. Just on a Saturday morning, but we manage it because you have to adapt in this business. So this budget, the 2015 cap, the 2015 budget, excuse me, we're staying again within the cap, and we are reducing the use of our fund balance, and we are responsibly managing our long-term debt. And we are paying off the pension bill. We're not going to leave that for the next generation. In summary, although the 2015 budget began this past July, this budget represents the 3-year plan that our administration developed and executed with the support of our colleagues on the legislature. Our fiscally conservative approach, using smart and innovative ideas, focused on meeting our social and fiscal responsibilities, has allowed this administration to provide quality services while keeping property taxes low. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor and a privilege to serve as the county executive for the last 3 years. Every day is a challenge that I welcome and embrace. It's such an honor to serve with the members of the legislature that I serve with. Their team, our team, all of you in the not-for-profits and the outside agencies, we're all one team. I want to thank you all for attending this evening. I want to thank my team for putting in the hard work in the last couple of days. I want to thank the people of Putnam County for their support. I welcome any conversation in the next couple of weeks as we deal with the details. There's always that devil in the details of our tentative budget. I'd like to thank you all again very, very much. After this evening's presentation and public hearing, we will be hosting a little light fair downstairs. So please join us all. Thank you.
Thank you, County Executive, for that very comprehensive presentation, very informative. At this point, any comments from the legislators? Anyone like to say anything? We're good? Okay. We're going to adjourn the meeting, and then we're going to have about a 5-minute break. We're running a little bit behind schedule, but then we'll have our Budget and Finance Committee meeting and public hearing. So at this point, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.